Okay, brilliant. So that's come up as recording, Vince, so thank you for that. So hello and welcome to this single approach to isolation brief. My name is Mick Simmons. I am a senior engineer for the electrical safety delivery team that formerly worked out of Milton Keynes, but clearly you can see that I am working from home at the moment. So today's session is for people that hold COSS only. So if your guys are holding COSS OLP, there's another session for those. But these are for the individuals that hold COSS and then ultimately the PTS, AC, SAI only part. So this isn't for COSS OLP people. This is purely the people that hold COSS and PTS, AC, SAI. This is being recorded, as Vince has said, and we would like you guys to kind of cascade this down to any persons that you feel relevant in terms of who hold the COSS competency as well as the PTS, AC, SAI. So I'm now going to share my screen and okay, Vince, what can you see?
Yes, I can see your slide.
Okay, fantastic. So just a bit around Teams. If you are in a noisy environment, please put yourself on mute. If you need to take a call or anything like that, I appreciate there's a kind of railway to run. So again, please put yourself on mute and just step away. Brilliant. So the purpose and the audience. So this presentation pack has been written for the people that hold PTS, AC, SAI and COSS. This is not for individuals that hold COSS OLP. If you do hold COSS OLP SAI, there is a separate briefing pack with a knowledge assessment that you must attend as part of the skills and knowledge phase. We appreciate that some of the training was done over a year ago now, and that's why we are kind of doing these intervention briefings, just to try and make sure that you guys are comfortable with the skills and the knowledge that you learn and potentially may not have been practiced. So this briefing is going to talk about a couple of key points from the training materials, and it is also going to talk about some additional points that key stakeholders involved in the process feel that it's worth discussing. Don't forget there is the PTS AC single approach to isolation PTS e-learning, so feel free to revisit that at any time. I'd encourage all of you to sit that again. You don't have to do the knowledge assessment. You can just do the kind of slide deck itself, the e-learning itself. And if you do have any questions, again, my name is Michael Simmons. Please drop me a line. I hope that you know Vincent. Drop Vincent a line, or there is the ACSAI@networkrail.co.uk email address there. So I'm going to play a short little video now. This video is about 2.5 minutes long, and it's just a bit of a reminder of the key safety messages of single approach to isolations and the purpose and the reasons why we're bringing it in.
Network Rail have introduced a new single approach to isolation. This approach to working on the operational railway with overhead electrification is safer and more consistent. It increases emphasis on isolation and earthing of all tracks and requires justification when this is not used. It improves identification of electrical hazards and increases focus on removing or mitigating residual electrical hazards. Finally, it's about equipping the workforce to apply the rules by increasing their electrical knowledge and upskilling competence to create a safer working environment. As part of the new single approach to isolation process, a new safety zone, referred to as the vicinity zone, has been introduced. This is in addition to the 2.75 meters and 0.6 meters safety zone that already exists today. You shall not work closer than 2.75 meters or 9 foot of exposed live overhead line. Control measures are used to reduce the likelihood of staff inadvertently entering the 2.75 meter zone. These types of control measures include demarcation equipment, barriers and obstacles, delineation, using an item of existing infrastructure as a limit marker. This could be a running rail or an isolated and earthed OLE conductor, direct supervision, approved movement limiting devices for on-track plant. An electrical safe system of work framework has been put in place to support single approach to isolation. The electrical safe system of work framework is a
Thanks, Vince.
hierarchy, similar to the hierarchy of control for operational risks when working on the infrastructure, where a safeguarded site of work is the safest and a lookout warning is the last resort. It consists of 5 categories aligned to the improved electrical risk assessment process. All electrical risks shall be assessed by competent persons before any work commences. It's the first stage of planning any work. Be aware of any control measures that have been implemented as part of the electrical safe system of work. It is imperative that you understand their significance. If our workforce follows the process set by single approach to isolation, then we will achieve improved electrical safety by reducing exposure to electrical risk.
So that is it's a short video that you guys may have seen before.
Network Rail have introduced a new...
It's part of the e-learning package that was put together. I think it's quite a good little video, and the animations kind of bring it to life a little bit, but it's kind of reinforcing the points about why 25,000 is needed. So I hope this is a familiar slide that you've all seen before. This is the trial area. So this is the green kind of shaded area is from Ashton to Hill Morton, and this is the kind of nominal boundary of the trial area. So any work within this area, you must have PTS, AC, SAI at a minimum. Without that endorsed and on your Sentinel card, you will not be able to gain access to the trial area. Under kind of exceptional circumstances where we need to extend the boundary, if we're working on the neutral sections at either end, the boundary may be increased to Wolverton and to Rugby. And again, the same applies for that. If the boundary is extended, anybody wanting or wishing to access the infrastructure must hold PTS, AC, SAI. So in the short video, we kind of discussed about a new zone that's been introduced as a vicinity zone. So again, you guys, this is for COSS individuals that hold PTS, AC, SAI. There is no change to the 2.75 metre rule. Like I said, there's no change to it. It's the vicinity zone and the different zones come into play when you have different competencies. We introduce an equipment competent person that can enter the 2.75, but predominantly this is just for COSS, PTS, ACSAR holders. So there is no change to the 2.75 metre rule. You're not to come in 2.75 metres of live exposed OLE. So checking Sentinel cards. So as part of the 019 process today, I hope you'll all agree that we're scanning cards regularly. I think you have to check people in, check people out. As part of 25,000, we're not changing that at all. That will carry on. But what you must have if you are looking to access the trial area is the AC single approach to isolation SAI on your Sentinel card. So as of the 11th of January 2021, if you are wanting to gain access to the infrastructure, you must have this endorsed on your Sentinel card. And as a COSS, who this presentation is aimed at, you are then responsible for scanning people in. And we're reminding you and telling you guys that you must scan people in and you must check their competencies. And if they do not have the competency, they are to be refused access to the infrastructure. That's whether you're, you know them, you've been working with them for years, they're good guys. If they do not hold the competence, they do not access the infrastructure. It's a life-saving rule. you will only complete tasks that you're competent to do. So yeah, if they do not hold the competency, they cannot access the trial area. The TVP process. So there's been a couple of people have thought you could kind of get around not having PTS AC SAI by doing a TVP. So I just wanted to kind of clear that up a little bit. So if you hold a PTS already, you can't have a TVP. That's the kind of TVP rules. So it isn't a backdoor, because you wouldn't be able to gain access to a TVP if you've got a PTS. So the TVP process isn't changing. The rules around it stay the same. And just a reminder there that you must, if anyone does have a TVP and wants to access the trial area, they can. There's no issues with that as long as they can comply with the TVP rules. And it's the responsibility of the COSS to keep an eye on them at all times. They receive a briefing from the COSS. TVP must be kept with them and shown on request when needed. Return the TVP to the COSS, wear the correct PPE, stay alert, and safety is their responsibility as well. It's not just down to the COSS, it's down to everybody. The new electrical safe systems of work. So as the video suggested, there are 5 categories. A and B are for when you're working within an earth isolation. Category D is when you're working with the OLE live, and category E is working with the OLE live. So as a COSS, because they do not hold the OLP element, the only works that they should be doing as a COSS is your category L works. And your category L works are the types of activities that are low electrical risk. So they're the types of activities that that we see very often on the railway. They're your patrolling, inspecting, and examining. They're the stuff that's done at rail level with ground tools, where there is no risk of coming into contact with live OLE. There's no climbing on ladders. There's no waving things above your head or anything like that. It's all very much ground level, very safe. And these lists of activities can be found on the category L list. So the category L list, or the low electrical risk working list, is to be found on Safety Central. It is currently at issue 1. We have a meeting with the professional head on Monday to discuss some inclusions. So as part of the kind of suspension period because of COVID, we've had an opportunity to get some feedback from practitioners around the category L list. And there's 2 or 3 things that they would like to see included, whether it's more examples or us to be more descriptive about the types of activities, what we mean by things. These, what we hope now is we made it a little bit clearer. So issue 2 of the low electrical risk working will be available on Safety Central as soon as it is signed off. And just to confirm with the low electrical risk working, if your job or your work that you want to complete isn't on this list and you feel that it should be, and we've missed it, then again, get in touch with Vince, get in touch with myself, and we can look at potentially including that. But if your work is not on the category L list, then you must go down the road of applying for an earth isolation. As part of the low electrical risk working, the Cat L list, there is a task risk control sheet called TA01. This replaces GA21. So GA21 is working near electrical overhead line equipment. And again, whenever you are working on the railway with overhead line equipment, GA21 should be included in your work package plans or your safe work packs. During the trial area, that has been replaced because of some of the requirements of the standard with a task risk control sheet of TA01. So again, when you guys are working in the trial area, please can we reference TA01 rather than GA21 on our respective work package plans or safe work packs. So here's an example of low electrical risk working. So we have 2 individuals there that are quite happily using hand tools at rail level. There is very limited or no risk at all of them coming into contact with live OLE. The different colours there are your different zones, and you can quite clearly see that the site of work that they are in are outside of the 2.75 metre. So they are more than comfortable working there, and that activity would be a category L activity. As part of 25,000, we formalised the use of control measures. So control measures, specifically demarcation equipment, can be used today. So it can be used under 29987. You may have seen it when you're working out there, but what 25,000 has done, it has kind of formalised that process, and we have a specific module within the standard that details the use of them and how we control the risk using control measures. So one specific control measure that is commonly used is demarcation equipment. So these are the blue flashing lights that you can kind of see on the screen there. And these are used to identify electrical hazards and residual electrical hazards that ultimately could cause harm. So as a COSS, you may be working in a possession and you may be doing category L work. So you don't need an overhead line permit. But you may see these out there because these are part of an electrical safe system of work where someone does need an overhead line permit. So you may see these flashing blue lights out there, and it's just a reminder to your COSSes that ultimately demarcation, maybe on the infrastructure, it's highly likely that it will be used for the trial area. For the 4 weeks that we did in January and February, demarcation was used a lot. People like it. People enjoy seeing that kind of visual reminder that ultimately there is an electrical danger the other side, potentially. So if you see demarcation equipment, please stop, think, am I safe? Is the work group I'm responsible for safe? Are they safe? It's that kind of take 5 just to think and just to make sure that everybody is doing what they should be doing. So demarcation equipment will be part of a kind of wider electrical safe system of work. If you do see it, please do not touch it, do not remove it, do not disturb it in any way. It is the nominated person's responsibility to ensure demarcation has been installed correctly. He can delegate that to an authorised person, but it is only those 2 individuals that can move, inspect, or install demarcation devices. So here's a short, again, a short little video. Just for me, it highlights how good demarcation equipment is. You can clearly see from this is a headspan arrangement where the other side of the headspan, as we're looking at it, isn't earthed and it isn't isolated. And this really does kind of highlight that to the users.
What is this?
So the blue flashing lights are great, and I think 95% of the time they will be used with blue flashing lights. A question has been raised before: is what happens if the blue flashing lights fail? Ultimately, they are battery powered, and batteries do run out. But the way the signage is set up as well, they're reflective enough to still create that warning. The flashing blue light is a kind of secondary. So if the demarcation devices isn't flashing, it isn't a job stopper, the reflectiveness of the sign is more than adequate. So just a reminder when working with on-track plant. So when you are working with on-track plant,
a small question, Simon.
Yes, go ahead.
Cash here. I'll just reference to the previous slide just before you get into the detail of this. Do we now need to consider sending out letters or alerts to nearby residents because of the use of the blue flashing lights? It can be construed as emergency services, especially with sites that are backing onto people's gardens.
So
a local arrangement you'd probably advise.
Yeah, so I'm going to be honest and say the work stream for getting the demarcation devices to the railway is not part of 25,000. What 25,000 done, what it has done is it's formalised their use. The kind of analysis about the emergency services, the blue flashing lights, the disturbance of neighbours would have been a separate project. I do know who the kind of project lead for that was. So what I'll do is I'll ask the question and I'll come back to you if that works for you.
Yeah, that's fine. Or whenever you do get a chance, share the contact and we'll follow suit. Because yeah, that's not a problem. We can. So we've got a comms manager on East West as well as VR.
Yeah.
Who can coordinate efforts that route.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm 99% sure that analysis would have been done, because if you imagine train drivers seeing these blue flashing lights, what it means for them. So this analysis about emergency services, disturbance to line side neighbours, I'm sure it has been thought about, but I wouldn't want to give you any wrong information. So let me check with Sultan Parker. I don't know if you know him, but he's a principal engineer at Milton Keynes. He was the technical lead for the demarcation devices. It's something that I can ask him.
Okay, thanks for that, Simon. Thanks.
No worries. It's a great question. So again, so just the final slide is about working with on-track plant. So when you are working with on-track plant and it's on the railway, we are going to need to have an overhead line permit or a limitation of access certificate from the nominated person. So this element is just a reminder that electrical safety documents, your overhead line permit or your limitation of access certificate, your LOAC, can only be issued to a COSS OLP. So if you do not hold the OLP SAI element of your on your competence or on your Sentinel card, then again you cannot take an electrical safety document from a nominated person within the trial area. And it's like anything. That context of the permit will be briefed to you as they are today. So we use a Form C today. I'd like to think that whenever you're working with an unearthed isolation, that contents of that Form C has been briefed out to you. Again, if there's anything you're unsure about on the contents of that Form C or the overhead line permit in 25,000, then please raise it.
So she definitely had the right account details.
Sorry, could you just repeat that again? Sorry. No, that wasn't for me. Okay, I'll carry on. So yeah, just a reminder that if you are working with an on-track plant, then again, please listen to the briefing from the COSS OLP. If you have got any questions or any issues with that, please raise that. We're only going to improve electrical safety if we start discussing it, start challenging it respectfully. And if you're unsure, ask questions. I know we say it 100 times, but there is no such thing as a stupid question, especially when you are working with 25,000 volts. So ladies and gents, that is it in terms of this brief. We do ask that this is then cascaded to all individuals that hold COSS, PTS, AC, SAI. Vince has recorded this and he will give you a copy of this recording and a copy of the presentation materials. If you are stuck and would like any help briefing this, please give us a shout. We're here to help. We have a number of floor walkers that could ultimately help brief this out to you and your teams. It'd be far easier if we got groups of people rather than just ones or twos, as you can imagine. But let me hand over to you guys. If you have got any questions or any observations or anything you want to discuss, please raise your hand, shout out, do what we need to do, and thank you for your time. Andrew.
Yes, just one question, if you don't mind.
Yes.
Right. Will we have any sort of confirmation that we've completed this webinar? I'm just thinking aloud because it could be very useful to go toward your CPD.
Vincent, that's probably one for you.
So this webinar is very much it's a briefing to make sure that all courses who hold PTS SAI competencies have the knowledge to enable them work on site. So I believe it might be good in terms of continuous professional development. If you want us to send you some form of notification, we can arrange that via email. However, it is just a standard safety briefing, which basically equips COSS holders that do not have COSS OLP competencies to be aware of their duties on the trial site.
Yes, Vincent, I actually understand that. The only reason I was asking the question is simply because I am actually a safety critical trainer where we have to provide a minimum number of hours CPD, and this would be really useful towards it. It's not crucial, but it would be nice.
Okay. If you don't mind, I'll give you a call outside this session to discuss and resolve.
No problem. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. Any more for any more? Okay, I won't keep you any longer if we haven't got any questions. So again, if you do need any help, get in touch with Vince, get in touch with myself. We'll more than happily help. And for any of the individuals or anyone on here that does have other SAI competencies, COSS OLP, authorised people, nominated people, electrical risk assessor, just a reminder to get yourselves booked on to a skills and knowledge phase resumption briefing, and please complete your knowledge assessments. They need to be done, they need to be sent in, or you risk your competencies being suspended. Vince.
Just one quick question for everyone. Can we all comfortably and confidently say that we can cascade this briefing to our teams?
Yeah, Vincent, I can confirm that from a Volker Rail and East West Rail perspective, not a problem.
Fantastic. And I can see with the head nodding that and comments that people are able to cascade it. So thank you very much. We will we'll be looking to forward the slide back to yourself to cascade, and then you can hold your individual sessions with your teams to send this to cascade this information. Carol.
Sorry, it's probably more a question for Vincent. Michael, you said about when people have done the knowledge checks and their assessments, sending it in. Is there actually something to send in, or is it a case of your systems talk to each other? Because I know that people have done the knowledge assessment so far, it just gives them sort of a pass-fail on the e-learning system and sort of no certificate or anything like that.
Yeah, great question, Carol. Let me just kind of, maybe didn't explain myself very well. So if it is just the PTS that they're doing, the system itself, the learning will self-mark, and you'll be awarded the competency there and then, basically. Sentinel will be updated. If it's part of the skills and knowledge phase, so if they hold electrical risk assessor, section planner isolations, or other SAI competencies, what we ask is that they sit the knowledge assessment. Well, ideally, they'd sit the resumption brief, they would sit the knowledge assessment. Then if they've not got 100%, I hope you'll appreciate that there's gaps in their knowledge if they do not receive 100%. So what we would like and what we'd expect then is to a line manager to sit down with them to say, okay, look, you've got question 2 wrong. You put B, talk to me why you thought it was B. Oh, right, okay, well, look, it's not B, it's actually C. Can you understand why it says that? Okay, fine, brilliant. And what we would expect then is to have visibility of, we call it a development action plan or a DAC form. We would expect to see that re-leveling or that discussion with the line manager has happened. And that's to be sent to, Vince, is that sent to you?
So that's sent to Simon Brunton.
Oh, right, okay. And can people just sort of get a copy of your DAP form and use that, or do we have to sort of have our own?
So, Carol, if you haven't got one, I'll more than happily share the Network Rail one. It's for me, it's about having those conversations with the individuals. I wouldn't want anybody to walk away with 70% and then not know the 30% that they got wrong. So whatever form we use, as long as those conversations are happening,
Right.
I'm happy.
So it's sort of just which questions they got wrong and that a discussion was had. It doesn't have to be sort of any more in depth.
No, it's and if you don't believe that you've got the skill set to have those conversations with them, Carol, because you're not an electrical risk assessor or an SPI, and you don't know what the right answer is, again, get in touch with Vince, get in touch with me, and once you've done the assessment, we can, on the system, we can look at what questions you've got right and wrong, and we can set up a team session and go through that kind of development action plan with the individual.
Oh, brilliant. That's great, Michael. Thank you very much.
So, Carol, what I'll do is
just a little bit of, okay, please finish.
Sorry, Vince. Carol, I'll just send you what we use as Network Rail, if that works for you.
That would be brilliant. Thank you very much for that.
And just to add to what Mick said, the reason for the DAP form is so that both ourselves and yourselves have the confidence and the satisfaction that each individual practitioner is now, the knowledge gaps has been filled, they are confident and they are competent to be able to go back to site to undertake work safely. So for us and for you, it's a bit of an audit check, make sure that everybody is on top of and able to work.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any more for any more? Brilliant. Well, look, I will bring this to a close now. Really appreciate all your efforts. If there is anyone that you expected to see here that you haven't seen here or they've not turned up, please give them a little nudge, get them to get in contact. We need to get these knowledge assessments done. I'm going to be honest with you and say, as a contractor community, Network Rail are a little bit ahead. So it would be really good to get some of these knowledge assessments done and get your guys competent and confident to complete the duties come the 11th of January. Brilliant. Well, look, thank you all for your time. If you have got any questions, please drop Vince or I an email and we will see you soon. Take care, everybody.
Thank you.